Hello, hello. Sorry, I am late. And here, our guest is already with us. If you're tuning in, where are you in the world? Please just send a message. Just say hello, say where you are viewing us from. My name is Chiomah Momah, like you know. And today we're having another interesting conversation with someone very special, very, very, very special indeed. All the way is from the is it from the south or from the eastern part of Africa. We're talking about Dr. Megor, one of the
Hello,
Omugwa
hello.
Academy. It's good to have you in here, Megor. It's good to have
Oh,
you
thank
here.
you, Chioma. Thank you
Let's
so
just
much.
wait and for people to join in and join the broadcast. And as they're joining in, just to say that this conversation is something my house people they're moving around. I'm just begging them that they will not disturb me in this my broadcast. Biko. Eh? So you know why we're here. We're here to just talk about all things concerning wholesome parenting, purposeful parenting, how we can make it work, how we can do our own bit as parents, working parents, and make sure that we raise our children in a good, raise our children well, while of course also fulfilling our career and all our other outcomes. And that's why we're here, and that's what I try to do through this channel. And when Mego is someone, in fact, funny, interestingly enough, my history with anything parenting, those of you who know me well know I'm a lawyer, I'm an author, I'm a policy person, I'm a coach. The parenting aspect, my history with it actually started with Mego and Dr. Tito, under the tutelage of Pastor Obi Pax Harry, when she said, look, you guys have to do this conference. Mego had been planning something. She said, look, you all have to come together and do this. And we did it. And it was amazing. It was just so, so, so fantastic. We just did it afraid, basically. Mego did all the brain work, all the, admin work. And it was such a fantastic conference. Mego, your husband spoke as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
correct.
it was amazing. So since then, we've been doing our thing. Everybody's doing what, working in all the gifts what I was giving them. And I said, okay, Mego recently she launched the Omogo Academy, and that's something. It's been a long time coming. She's been planning it. She's been working on it. She's been talking about it, and it's just been something that we've always just been saying, oh, look, we can't wait for this thing to start. And finally, it has started. And we are here to talk about Omogo Academy, all the beautiful things that it stands for, and why Omogo Academy, and how it can even help you, and why we need to be a parenting village, why we need our parenting village in the first place. So yeah, so that's why we are here to talk about Omogo Academy and how it takes a village. I'm sorry, I'm multitasking. How it takes a village to raise a child. How it takes a village to deal with all the issues that come up when you're raising children. How it
Yeah.
takes having that support system, and why the support system is so so important in raising your child. So first of all, I'm going to ask you straight up, Dr. Megor, why Omogo Academy? What was the inspiration and why did you start it?
Oh, thank you, Choma. And once again, thanks for having me here. So the inspiration behind Omugo Academy was born from my own personal experience, first as a mother of four children, just like you, and also as a medical doctor. Leading up to the launch of Omugo Academy, I had been particularly focused on early childhood development, as well as maternal and child health, for over a decade. And I have had so many interesting questions, and I've encountered so many, some really good, some really bad situations stemming from the way we practice postnatal care in our environment, right? And so while I recognize that the Omugwo culture, which we'll talk a bit more about in a minute, was a great gift to us as Africans and Nigeria in particular. There were also so many gaps, right? And so the way we practiced it was beginning to become a problem because it lacked scientific backing, on some of that. And I thought, wow, this is something really valuable that we mustn't throw away with the bathwater. Unfortunately, with with westernization as it continues, the world now with the digital technology has become a global village, and more, we're throwing away more of our own culture and tradition sometimes if we're not careful, just because we are becoming a more global, which I think should be the opposite, right? If we're becoming a global village, it would be nice for everybody to be rooted in who they are and bring to the table their own flavor, their culture, and all of that. And together we can share these things and make the world a better place together. And so that's what drove me, on a general level to, I was looking for, okay, how do we leverage the technology we have today to bridge these gaps, to bring this life-saving knowledge to women all across the world and to families as well? Because as you know, our mantra is it takes a village to raise a child. So it's not just directed at the mothers, we are also equipping the fathers, caregivers, and everybody who's part of the family. On a personal note, I started Omugo Academy because I had my own personal experience of what it was like to have a fantastic postnatal care experience. And then with my fourth child, I had the other extreme experience where I had to move. So as a family, we had to move when the last baby was just 6 weeks old. And so we moved to a new country where we didn't have our usual family support and the support system that we're grown to be used to. I think I did take it for granted. And I thought that my so-called strong woman persona just came from who I am. And I think that's one of the things we'll be dealing with more again when we talk about the 21st century woman. We need to break this myth of strong woman, that gets us into trouble. And so I really, really crashed. And for the first time, I did experience postpartum depression. I did go through, I really did struggle. And I came to really appreciate more our culture and to see how it had really been a help for me in the past and how it made the difference in the way I recovered and in the well-being of myself and the child and the family at large after.
Awesome. I was actually waiting for that because I just said beyond your love for early childhood and all the things you had heard, I said there must be something else that has kick-started it and said, okay, you know what, let's get this show on the road. And the truth is that we take a lot for granted in this
Yeah,
part of the world where we just see we have people, we have help, we have
yeah,
maybe your mother is there, auntie's neighbor. And the truth is that I was just telling someone the other day that you hear of all these cases, especially in the developed world, where somebody shook their baby and all that. And you walk back, you think this person was all alone. They had no help. They just had twins, nobody in sight, no one to talk to. It could be a very lonely
absolutely.
society. And as we're having more and more people moving abroad, we have a
Yeah,
lot of Nigerians in diaspora. I think it's very, very important that we have resources like this to be able to take the best out of those things that we have enjoyed for years, for centuries. Then we have our mothers and all the good things, and we can now say, okay, you know what? There's this doctor I love so much, noisy pediatrician, where we can say, okay, grandmas, some of the things you're doing are actually good, and we want to
yeah,
preserve the good ones. The ones that are not, we want to throw them. We want to just put them
absolutely.
in one container for history. We want to preserve them, right? And the ones that are good, we want to carry them on. So absolutely,
Absolutely.
it's just I'm just really, really happy and amazed that, not happy that you had to go through that, but happy that you have brought this thing to life to help so many women. And look at Zizi in Jesus, she's saying, I can relate with what Dr. Megor is saying. Well done, because it is something that is so needed by so many women all over the place. AD Henson is joining us from Malawi. Welcome, 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 welcome. So this is a conversation that is really needed. And going back to what you said, a lot of the things that we learn or we have been passed down. I remember, fighting with my mom over, for instance, she said, give this child water now. What is the problem? What is all this breastfeeding you're doing? Like all this exclusive and all that. how as parents, how as new moms can we have that balance? So we're actually bringing the stuff that our moms have taught us, or accepting the care that they are giving us, while saying no, this is actually what is medically correct. Yes, I hear you on doing XYZ, but this ABC, no, I will not do it. How do we, bring that balance up and handle that with our grandmas?
Yeah, thank you so much. That's a great question. It's one particular question. I think I take a whole course. Of course, we have the Omugo course for moms, for dads. I take a whole module or something. I talk about that because we need to, first of all, come from a place of understanding that many times when we're surrounded with people who want to help, they really want to help. We need to just stop there first, for because sometimes when we're so incensed, especially when we know now, and there's this gap between what you know and what the other person, it can be a big thing. But when you come from a place of empathy and gratitude, knowing that, first of all, wow, thank God I even have someone, first of all, who cares enough to want to do this. And so relating to that person from that place will make all the difference, because even the way that, exactly, thank you, Amaka, we should be very appreciative of the support that we have. Like I said, until my fourth, I really took it for granted. And then at that point, I'm like, today, when I see, I'm like, oh my God, this is, I'm very grateful. Please, thank you very much, for helping me, and stuff like that. So that's one. I think that when we have that mindset change, because again, we take it for granted. Oh yes, my mother-in-law, yes, she's supposed to come, she's supposed to do XYZ. And so if you're not careful, you really handle the thing without any diplomacy. So that's one. Now the second thing is, I teach that you need to, which is why you, as the parent, as the mother, or as the pregnant woman, must now arm yourself with new information. Do you understand? So that you are able to make informed decisions and informed choices. You now know where to. So I'll give two examples that would really, for especially for most of us from that part of the world, will understand it. Where there are some things to fight about, there are some things to just live and laugh. Do you get? So it's like negotiating. What you can give to grandma, it's fine, and what you can, what you need to put your foot down on. Obviously, when it's going to harm your child in any way, right? What happens? You're going to need to do something about it, right? You're going to need to put your foot down. You're going to need to insist that no, this one is not. I'm not going to let it fly, right? That's one. But for some things that are not that deep, like we say, for example, remember putting thread on the head of baby because the baby is having hiccups, right? While that's hilarious, while there's no scientific backing for it, and while our grandma still swear by it, guess what? It's not going to harm your child. Okay, everything is going to be fine. So you can let that pass. You see, those are some examples. Sometimes maybe what to eat and all of that. It's not, if it's not so bad. You just try, do some, give some, win some, lose some. So it's really like a diplomatic arrangement. But when it has to do with something is harmful. For example, your mother or mother-in-law is insisting on using certain herbal concussions that you don't know, what it has come from, and on the baby's navel or umbilicus, they'll say to heal. I've heard all those stories. You cannot believe, some putting saliva on the umbilicus, some putting, there was, saliva. You'll be shocked. Like, in the course of my work, the things that there was another lady that said her mother-in-law, so pepper soup spices and other things she'll mix, put it in tie it in a rag, put it on top of a lantern, like a smoking lantern. Those old smoking
Dr.
lanterns.
Megor, you're not making these things up. As this
I
is
am
your for
not.
real.
And look, now the person who told me this, we went to secondary school together. She's of course a graduate and doing very well. I'm not even talking about. So I have an NGO that does grassroots work. But everything I'm sharing with you here, most of the things I'm sharing with you is even what happens between in our lives. Call it middle class, or anything, right? That's what happens. and then putting that whole thing that they have put on the cord of the baby, you'd be shocked, right? So of course, for something like that, because you know that sepsis can set in like that, which is a widespread infection that can just kill the child, you know that other things can just happen. For example, the putting of stuff on the anterior fontanelle of the baby. That's another one. They also put different concussions there. When you understand what the science is, that, oh, there's just a thin film of skin that is covering that brain, right? Like covering there, and there's actually an opening in front that's going to close later, but at that point it's open, connecting with the brain. You want to be careful, right? So I don't know if this makes sense. If it makes sense, just type and tell me, okay, so those are the kind of things you put your foot down for. And that's why if you go to our website, omogoacademy.com, we've taken time, we have a whole column that's dedicated to fact or myth, old wives' tales, what's right, eating for two. So it starts from the light-hearted ones, see, a woman was advised to give her baby a 2-month-old palm oil to drink because he had gas. The baby had to have emergency surgery. That is so dangerous. Palm oil is a very viscous liquid that even for older, imagine 2 months old, so it's crazy. Yeah, you're so right. Like, these things happen. And so that's one of the reasons why we must talk about it. So the way to approach it is, of course, be respectful and say, Mom, grandma, the way I used to do it. So mine was really funny. My mom was a matron and a midwife, right? Medical doctor. And sorry, she was a midwife and a nurse, right? So double, those days they used to call it double qualified. She rose to be a matron before she retired, and then I was a medical doctor, right? So you can imagine when we came, we'll have these fights. She used to do, those days they would line up all sorts of routine drugs. They call them routine drugs. A baby is just born, vitamin A, gripe water, vitamin B, this one, that one. It used to be in that, if you remember the bath that they used to give babies bath, it used to be in the basket, yeah. And those things are not necessary. You start
I
needing
remember that basket
yeah,
from yes.
especially
Mm.
except it's been, what's the word, prescribed by a doctor, or other things like from, okay, 4 months, a breastfeeding baby might need an exclusively breastfed baby might need a vitamin D supplement, but even that needs to be prescribed by the doctor, that kind of thing. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see.
Wow.
So for me, I have a conversation with my mom that, Mommy, you know what? Yes, I agree. Because she'll be like, What? Is that not how? Do you know how many babies I've given birth to? I said, But Mommy, you sent me to medical school, right? Yeah. And you know that knowledge is progressive.
Mm.
Better, we do better, right? So there's something,
Yes.
sit back again and just what you do. However, yeah, that's some I would just laugh, right? When you're doing it.
I love it because you didn't fight with mom. You didn't say, "Look, mom, mommy, you send me go school now. I know
Yeah.
you've learned, but this one, we're improving." So there's a way to do. You mustn't fight. So at times you have to find. My mom, I remember the breastfeeding one. Hey, it was almost war, but then she saw, and I tried to show her, look at the books I'm reading. She was there when a lactation consultant came
Oh
to
yeah. Yeah.
show me what to do. And she was like, "Oh, this is," and the child is thriving. And she was like, "Oh," she was quite impressed. She started educating people.
Yeah.
Mama has milk and the thing is working, so she let me be. So I like,
Yeah.
thank you. I like something Amaka said. She said, yes to negotiating. Life is constantly about negotiating your kids, your husband, your employees, employers. And to your point, I think it's absolutely really important to know what your absolute no's are. Know the things that
Yeah.
I know, no, I'm not going to do that. And for me, and you have to make those choices even before you start having children. What are the things you want? How do you want to raise your kids? What do you want to do for them? And all that. And like Amaka said that again, educate, educate, educate. We must continue to educate ourselves. And that is why Omugo, Academy exists. And like Amaka has said again, in fact, I'm stunned. Some of the things I'm hearing, I'm like, did these things really happen?
Oh,
Whoa. And that
yes.
is why we need these resources, so we can say, okay, this is actually this is not useful in any way. We don't need this in any way. We're not going to
Mhm.
she's a super diplomat. So I say that you're a super diplomat, absolutely, because you just convinced your mom as a there must be a better way to deal with these issues,
Yeah.
than fighting, and because mommy is trying to help. That's what we always be.
Yeah, exactly. It's coming
For
from a good.
me, coming from a good place, and there's a question, because we're going to talk more. Because for me, Omugu Academy, I love the name, by the way, because I am very particular about preserving our culture. I'm a lawyer, and we talk about things that are, that are repugnant, and we want to do away with repugnant culture, things that are not, wholesome and all. But when things are wholesome and they're actually good, why not embrace them? And especially embrace the good, embrace our Nigerian names, embrace our Nigerian foods, embrace our Nigerian culture, the positive aspects. I love that you didn't go and look for one Oyibo name to call it, and now stuck with the Omugu. I love it because it's something that we can all, every Nigerian and people even beyond Nigeria, can connect with that term and what the Omugu is meant to be in the true sense of it. Now, somebody's
Mm,
asking a question. I don't know if you can answer. Can we talk
yeah.
about some grandmas trying to breastfeed your child in your absence? Does
Mm.
this happen?
Yeah, oh yes, it happens. It does. And so my response may surprise you. I'll put it in. So first of all, I think the main issues, of course, it's just the very thought of it for most of us moms. If you are the mom of the child, is very like no, 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 right? Yeah. So and of course, that's the most important thing. Like, nobody should ever dare, or try to breastfeed your child against your desire and wish. I think that's it. However, nature is an interesting thing. Do you know that once a woman has breastfed before, right, and she has lactated before, she can actually begin to breastfeed again. So
Very true.
sometimes where it comes in very handy. So of course we may be like, ew, but unfortunately we've had cases where maybe a mother dies in during childbirth, and then her mother takes this child and begins to put it to breast over time. Of course, it takes longer, but that sucking reflex, after a while, the milk let down will start. And then, so I think
Mm.
it's probably nature's way, of helping, right? I just want to explain the mechanism first
Yes,
of all.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
of what it is.
That's
Because
true.
we're really
That's
like,
true. And you know what? So I'm going to hide that question. But I like that you mentioned that, because the truth
yeah,
is that there are situations, and
yeah,
God does, nature is beautiful. God is so wonderful.
yeah.
Where, a child doesn't have a mother, the mother, something happened and somebody has to breastfeed, and that reflects, something happens, it's so amazing,
Mm,
and you've explained it scientifically. And
mm,
I just remember a story of these two sisters, now
mm.
that you said it, they both had babies at the same time,
Uh-huh.
and this was in the 80s. So one of them had to go out and said, okay, maybe I think one was working, one was this. Okay, help me babysit. I'm going
Okay.
out. And as she stayed out longer than it was, they lived in Lagos, stayed out longer than planned. And because her baby was crying, the milk had finished, she had to breastfeed her niece. And the truth was that
Wow.
it wasn't an issue. It was like, she was like, when she came home, she was like, what
Thank
did
you.
you do? She said,
Yeah.
I had to breastfeed her. I was like, thank God, you're also lactating. Because of course, because she was lactating at that time, there wasn't
Mm,
even any, the
yeah.
milk was flowing, instantly. So that was, for in that instance, she was very grateful. But the thing was
Mm,
that, like you said, let it not be against one's will, where somebody is trying to force something that you do not want or something. But in
absolutely.
that kind of situation where it was like, look, I need to help this child. She's starving. She's
Mm,
hungry. I don't know where you are. Then there was no GSM. I do not know where this woman is. I don't. She said she'll be back at 2 o'clock. It's now 4 p.m. What's going on?
mm,
This child is, very is screaming. It actually came in handy. So just to bring that
yeah,
perspective as well.
absolutely. Yeah.
And someone is asking, does it have any negative consequence? Are you asking in relation to the breastfeeding thing, or is it something else?
Yes, yeah.
I don't know
Yes,
what you're
this is
asking.
just no. If you're talking about the negative consequences on the child, that is if you said I did it for my, but it stops there. I don't. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And Amaka is also giving her perspective that, look, I had a patient's mom who's from China. She told
Mm,
me she was breastfed by her aunt. So things
mm,
happen,
right. Things happen.
circumstances, and what we want, which is why we even have breast milk banks. In
Exactly. That's
not
another
to,
one too. There are some people who are so blessed in lactating without any issues, and they decide to do that to help other women who can't. And they never even meet them. They don't know them. But then they store this milk in so many, just like we donate blood. and then store
That
it.
was
So
that was me
one
after my first child. My mom said, "Please just go and be giving her milk. The milk
milk.
is excess. There's too much milk." So talk about back to the academy and the work you're doing, because like I said, for me, I think one of the things that makes me so happy is that because of the way the world is developing, people are traveling abroad. Just like you had to relocate, there was really nobody around you. You should have
Yeah.
called me. I'd have come to do a Mogo for you happily. Why you not
Right.
call? People are having that situation where they even when they people who are available, maybe they will deny them visa or something will happen. They just don't have that person with them. And
Yeah.
the academy is somewhere you can say, okay, you know what, I don't know what to do. How can I like remember my own experience with my last child? Interestingly enough, my mom had passed by then, and I remember still I don't know how I would cope without my mom, because even though I had my children abroad, for the most part,
Mm,
she would always come and meet me or be with me. So in that case, what happened was that my relatives said, okay, you know what? Let's arrange for one of your cousins to come and hang out with you and help for the
mm,
first 2 weeks. But she could only stay for 2 weeks, being a young. She also had her
yes.
a youngish family, and she had to go back. And then my son, because she was the one that was helping me bath the baby and doing all the stuff that grandma would have done. After she left,
Yeah.
I noticed that my child, there was something going on. I took him rather, my youngest. I took him to the hospital for his check, and they saw something. He had what they call, hey doctor help me. He had like there was pus coming out from his umbilicus.
Navel. Oh wow. Wow.
Yeah, his navel area, there was pus
You
coming. I
can
can't, they called
detect
it something. They said,
it.
he can get septicemia if something's not
Yeah.
treated. Oh my God,
Yeah.
they panicked. They went into panic mode. What is going on? Because I wasn't the one cleaning the navel at first. I didn't know how to do it really.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she had been helping me. After she left, maybe I didn't take care of the thing well. I didn't know what I was doing. I said, is it water? Is it spirits? I didn't know what I was doing, because I had never had to do that for any of my other children. I was not
Yeah.
in that. I was really enjoying myself. Or
Mhm.
mommy was there, she would do everything bath, or So I
Exactly.
didn't even know what to do. So after my cousin left, I was like, hey, and that was how this child's navel got infected, because he still had it. It took a while to fall off. His umbilicus didn't fall off immediately, and then that's all this amphilitis. God bless you. That's what they call this thing. They say it's amphilitis.
More
They say
polite.
polite. That is what they called it. If you see the way they carried me, they said, "Ma'am, you must go to the hospital right now." They were like, it was like, "Hey," I said, what's going on?" And I was trying to come back home, because my plan is that when I have my children, I stay 3 weeks, max a month, and then I come back home. And they were like, "Which home? Africa. You're not going anywhere. You're here. You stay here." They said, "Better look for how
Oh,
they held me in that hospital until he
mm,
was fine. And it was just interesting, because that's where Omugo Academy comes in. Because if I had maybe I had subscribed to the videos, I was part of that academy, I could have seen the process, how to clean the cord properly, because it was I had never done. I didn't have any experience, even as a mother of four, because my mother spoilt me, as in this real Omugo, as in where she will carry the baby at night, say, and she's like, I bed.
wow.
She'll just bring him and say, "Oh
You're
yeah,
living life.
baby," and then go. So I had enjoyed myself. So I didn't
Yeah.
know what to do, and all that. So yeah. And okay, yes. So Zizi, so I can relate, because of my own experience with
Mm,
where I was like, oh, that would have been such a lifesaver for me, because I know how
mhm,
many, of course, what it is to pay bills in the US. You can
mm,
imagine what happened after we had quite but thank God
mm.
we recovered
Yeah.
and all.
Yeah.
Mm, mm, mm. Oh yeah, so Zizi is saying her question. She was talking about a grandma breastfeeding. Oh yeah,
Mm.
yes. I guess it's fine. She's answered that question. There's no harm to the child whatsoever. I guess,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, except, there are other issues these days, for example, that are still, yeah, okay, I can see her comment now. I breastfed my niece that was born at the same time. Yeah, yeah. Acts like me. I don't think that's why she acts like you. She probably acts like you because she's your niece, hey? Your niece. Yeah, but of course the bond. Okay, maybe you are referring more to the bond. I guess that might be one major thing that may worry mothers as well. The whole like, okay, is the person going to be bonded more to that person versus them, and questions like that. I think these days mostly, just like you have the breast milk banks, that's something. So the person could express for you if you want to go that route, or if you want to just go get from the breast milk banks, because you don't want another person to kind of have the kind of
The
bond, because
bond.
yes, there is the bonding part, there is that emotional and part of breastfeeding your baby, apart from just the nutritional part. That must be it. But again, since the advent of things like HIV and stuff like that, of course, people are also more careful in terms
True.
of certain levels of transmission. Of course, a lot of education has been going on to tell them, okay, it's not transmitted like this, it's not transmitted like this. But just to say, because what we found out is the state of the mind is very important as much as, so when we are, and that's one other reason, that's another big reason actually I started Omugo Academy, because when I worked in clinical practice in the hospital, I realized after a while that I was like, something is wrong, we're not communicating as doctors, or else why would you finish talking to a patient for like 30 minutes and the patient goes home and does what their neighbor said, or what their friend or mother or something, meanwhile you are supposed to be the authority. So I think also getting people's buy-in. We can say something again and again, and say the science, but really connecting with people and meeting them in
Mm.
their habitats. That's why Amugo Academy, for example, the courses, the resources, you can interact with them from the comfort of your own home. You can get, and you can check out and do the research for yourself and all of that. We found that uptake of information that comes that way, and of course information that's practical and down to earth, you can relate with, lots of information sharing and stuff like that is often better in how people can relate with it. So yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. I hear you loud and clear. And that's why we need to communicate and connect, like Amaka is saying. So absolutely, having that information in one place, having somewhere where you can get verified information that is medically tested, that you can trust, is so important. And please, for those of you who are here, please, can you just do a favor? Can you take the link and share? There are a lot of young mothers, people you know all over the world who will need to get this information right now. So just spread it wherever you can, broadcast it, share the link, and also you can also come back here later and watch this if you need to pop out or whatever. Don't worry, it's going to be here on my channel. Make sure you subscribe, and if you're not following Dr. Megor, make sure you're following her to see all the amazing work she's doing for early childhood. Let's talk about the support system that women need when they have children. Now, I think what you have done is to create that virtual support system where even if you don't have the people around you, could be living in Saskatchewan, you could be living in Alberta, you could be living in Edmonton. I'm saying kind of a lot of us are in Canada now. You could be living anywhere in the world. You could be
Yeah.
living in Zimbabwe. You could be anywhere, and family's not there. And what you've kind of done is to curate that virtual village, so to speak, where people can actually tune in with different healthcare specialists, different aunties and grandmas, so to speak, but everything is backed up. Tell us about some of the people that you have who are actually in the academy, who are going to be teaching women and showing them those things that need to be done, and also medically important, those topics that we like some of the things are just amazing. They seem so small, but
Uh-oh. Hello, Chama. Guys, can you send a message if you and let me know if you can still hear Choma? I can't hear her anymore. I'm not sure if that's my own network. Please just send a message and let me know so that I could take it from there. Um, I'm just going to ask someone a question now. Can you still hear me? Okay. Okay, it seems like I am the only one here. So I'll go on talking a bit more. She had talked about asking about what we had in our academy, and the beautiful thing is that the academy is kind of like a live document, right? It is still developing, and what that means is that we have partnered with certain seasoned professionals, which I'll be explaining in a moment. But I also want to call out to more of you who are working in different areas that pertain, because you see the postnatal period is a multidisciplinary period. The kind of support and help that a woman needs is not just medical. There's the fitness side of things, there's the emotional side of things, there is sometimes even the marriage side of things. Yeah. Sometimes a baby comes and totally just changes the dynamic of the relationship between a woman and her partner before that time, the nutrition part, side of things, the skincare side of things. So it's a wide range. And what we've done and what we are doing at the Omugo Academy is to partner with people who are, so if you go to the website, even now, you will see in the column for seasoned professionals, you will see psychotherapists, you will see a pediatrician, you will see an obstetrician and gynecologist, you would see a skincare. In fact, it's interesting, our skincare doctor is actually a medical doctor, a pathologist who went into skincare manufacturing, because some things are crazy. I'll just stop here and just say this, for example, for anybody who's watching now or who will watch later. Something as simple as the cream you are using when you get pregnant could affect your baby's health. Yes, I mean the cream, the lotion you're using on your skin. In our part of the world now, unfortunately, we have all sorts of concussions that are used because sometimes someone is trying to be fairer, to have fairer skin and stuff like that. And many of these skin lotions come with what with retinol, right? Retinol is a kind of treatment. It's from vitamin A, but it's actually straight on something that what might be good, great for the skin of someone who's not pregnant. But once you are pregnant, becomes an issue, because then it will cause, it will, this one is not, it might, it will cause harm in your baby. All right. So the baby now sometimes is born with certain genetic, born with deformation and different things that can happen. I'm just trying to use the non-medical term. But yes, but it can be harmful just by continually using it on your skin. So my gynecologist, for example, when a woman comes to her, that's Dr. Chito, who's one of our partners. I was just talking, Chiomah, about the partners which you have
Awesome.
asked on, and talking about it. So one of the things that she does is, once a woman comes in for the first antenatal, she's like, please bring all the things you use on your skin, because sometimes
Oh,
you tell people retinol and they don't even know, because again, it's written in different ways on the body of this stuff, right? And so you bring it and she finds out like, no, please stop using this, please stop, you have to absolutely stop using that. So
wow.
those are such examples of things you might not know, that, oh, just by using this cream that seems to be making your lotion and you like the way it's making your skin look, but hey, it's really harmful to your baby. So how would you know that, right? But when we know better, we do better.
We do
And that
better.
thing that drives us at Omugo Academy, trying to bring not just the information, the resources. We have the resource section. We have, you know, blogs, writing for dads, for moms, for caregivers, because again, remember that it takes a village. So we're trying to equip the whole village to be able to support. And we're also working on our online community, which is just ready, and we'll soon be launching that separately, where people can now come in, like Chiomah said, and access each other. So peer-to-peer support is great, but now it's going to be there in the presence of skilled resources, professionals who know, so that, because
I
sometimes
love it.
I follow some pages or just see what they're talking about, and I'm like, where do you start from? So people are sharing experiences, but again, they're sharing some really harmful stuff, right? Without any scientific backing. But at least this will be a trusted environment where you know that it will be moderated, right? To make sure that the kind of exchange that's going on there is one that is positive and not in any way harmful. But we have these professionals, and I'm just saying again, if you are a professional in any of the multidisciplinary areas, for example, Auntie Chiomah Momah is also one of our partners who is helping and talking and created her own mini course to say, oh, you know, what you need to do, right? If you're a working mom and trying to do that transition and going back to work, right? That's another area that affects mothers of today. That sometimes, I mean, your doctor might not sit down with you to talk to you about that, right? And so they're
Yeah.
just things that need to be taken care of, and we're trying to crowdsource all of this onto one platform, so that those of us from this part of the world can actually go online and have our questions answered. There's also something I'm really, really proud of that we have started and we keep doing, which is the fact or myth section. So I
I
would
love it.
always, I know Chiomah can relate to, and everybody that is here, when we're pregnant, we're always on Baby Center UK, Baby Center America. We're checking, okay, so why is this like this and why is it like that? But now, of course, I would never find answers to questions like, okay, is it okay to put saliva on my baby's navel? Hey, how? Like, how? Because it's not an issue in some parts of the world, right? I wouldn't find questions like, oh, should I be eating for two? Is it okay to tie my abdomen really tight? Those some of our practices here. What is right? What is wrong? What should I stop doing? What can I continue doing? Or what should I do in moderation? So these questions are now answered on omugoacademy.com. And
I
so
love
please
it.
share it with
I love it.
everybody.
It's like having your auntie, your grandma, everybody, but
Yeah.
the right with the right
Yes,
information.
with the
Yeah.
right
So
information.
because the truth is that I remember when I was pregnant, and that was because I've my first doctor. I've also had the pleasure of also Chito is my OBGYN as well. But the first doctor I
Yeah.
had, I remember before I had, I was pregnant, and he said, "Oh, I should remove my bra," and I was like, what are you? What are you? What's up? And he was like, no, he wants to look at my nipple to be
Mm.
sure that I can, because I wanted
An
to breastfeed. And
nipple,
I said,
yeah.
well, it turned out that one of them was inverted.
See,
And he
yeah.
said, okay, what, start to prepare, because if you're
I
going to
do.
breastfeed, you're going
Yeah.
to have difficulty with this nipple. So do this, get nipple shields, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He told me what to do and what not to do. I found that very useful. It actually did help a great deal. And this is the kind of thing that, we can see, because for me, if I had somewhere where I could plug in and know that, look, this is why he's doing this, I would have been a bit like, why is he doing that? So, having the information at your fingertips, and the truth is that I love the sense of community that it gives you, because we cannot do it alone. Parenting is
Mm,
such a beautiful and a blessed and a gift and such a privilege, but we need to have a community. That's why we
mm,
have, I don't know what they do in Islam, but in Christianity, we have this where you have godparents who are meant to actually not just bring you up in Christ, but also be there for you and be there for your mom and dad to
yeah.
also, help through that stage. Your child is doing something, you can say, I'm going to call your godmom, I'm going to call your auntie to come and talk to
Mm,
you and all that. So it's important that we take advantage of the people that we have around us. And that is why we need to be careful the kind of advice that we're getting and where it's from. With the internet, there's a lot of issues. In fact, just recently I saw something where a lady was saying something happened to her son, her baby. So she started feeding him something with coconut water, and that it
mm,
solved the issue. And I was like, newborn. This is a new.
mm.
I said, as soon as she started putting that coconut something, this is a baby that should really just be on formula.
Milk or formula if you can't
Sorry, not
feed.
formula, on breast milk. So a
Yeah.
baby that should just be on breast milk, or like you said, formula if you're not breastfeed, or if you or whatever. But a child that should be, a very small baby. And she was like, that coconut something is solved the problem. I said, ha. And you could see the kind of comments. I wonder if I would try this. Oh, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
I said,
Exactly.
hey. I said, it was a pediatrician. I was like, broadcasting and saying, look, this is really not the
Yes.
way to go. I'm not trying to burst your bubble. I know you're a big
Yeah.
influencer, but
Yeah.
really, this is not actually advisable at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really, really, good that we have the right information and have the right advice out there. Mark, I
Mm,
want, I want to talk again about the role with the fathers play, because I keep on
mm,
telling people, I talk to parents, but if I'm talking to a room of parents, it is 97 women and 3 men. That's really what we see most times. How can we help the fathers? Because there's something that happens where they have this learned helplessness, because we, the mothers, feel that they cannot carry the baby, they cannot do anything. So we push them away. What is the role of the Mugo Academy, and what is the role of us moms in encouraging our men folk to be
mm.
part of this parenting, especially in that early stage when the child is a baby? Sometimes they say, no, when the baby grows, I will come. No, that very early stage. How can we
Yeah.
get these men to be more involved?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question because that's very dear to my heart, and you'll see that in the way we have designed and we keep designing, the materials and stuff to engage with on the Omugo Academy. Just like we have the Omugo Academy, the Omugo course for moms, we have another dedicated Omugo course for that. And many times when we're doing our promotion, we actually just, when we're doing maybe like 50% off, we just add the dads, we make it a bundle and put it there for free. We'll be doing an Easter promotion soon again, and then we'll usually do that because, again, I'm sure that mothers will go there and say, let me just buy my own, that kind of thing, but not knowing that it's very important. Like you said, unfortunately, it's learned helplessness. First of all, we need to think back as to how these boys were raised into men, what they saw, what they didn't see. So first of all, I think we should really extend some empathy to them, because what I find these days is that you have younger fathers or younger men getting married and they want to be involved. They actually do, but they don't know how to. So here in Malawi, we had a very interesting, we did a nice brunch to celebrate Women's Day, and we had women from all parts of the world, from the UK, from South Africa, from Lesotho, from Malawi, from Rwanda. It was exactly what we wanted. And it was interesting to just hear everybody. So one lady was like, oh, she had a home birth, so, and anybody who tells you they had a home birth today, know that that person has done the work most times of going in, doing research and everything, getting a doula or getting a midwife come home and all of that. And she had a water birth and all that. She said the husband was sleeping at some point. He was sleeping when she was in, like he was sitting there, they were
Are you
sleeping.
serious?
One day when she was so hungry, how those early days, come and all of that. For them, they were just two alone when they were taking care. So she was really hungry when she was able to eat, and she was going to look for her cookies. I don't know whether they were her lactation cookies or just normal cookies, only to find out that her husband had finished eating all her snacks that she had kept to say, oh, when that hunger of breastfeeding hits you at
He came
night.
for the food.
Yes. And and he was just, but trust me, he had the best intention. When she described everything else, all of us agreed that, oh God, that was a guy who really wanted to be there. He wanted to be involved. But nobody had told him what to do. So, like in the course, for example, that course for that is talking to men from before the wife even gives birth, to say, okay, this is how you can support. These are the kind of questions you should ask. This is how you should even take care of your mental health, because people don't realize this, but there's now what is called also paternal postpartum depression. And if I explain it to you, it will even make sense to you,
Interesting.
because these
Please,
are men
please do
who,
explain it. Yeah.
yeah, these are men who, especially when it's their first baby, they have been the center of your life. Everything is you and them, and all of a sudden a little baby comes, and just the way you're saying it, because our culture, before now has not been very inclusive of the dads in it, they feel very isolated. They do. Even where you have, think about Omuga. I know of someone, an older, like a big sister of mine, who said when her mother came for Omugo, told her husband to move out of the room so that she will be sleeping with her again. Yes, on the bed, on their own bed, in their own room with the baby. These are real life. These are real life. You get, so that's the extent to which a husband is kind of like, relegated, instead of trying to teach him and
Making
carry
part
him,
of the process.
making part of the process. So you can imagine how isolated that husband will feel, because she's like, when the baby wakes up at night, I want to get her, they're just like shifts, you're a man, what can you do? So we need to first of all change
Yeah,
those
this
mindsets.
is
I mean, the father is the father, and he needs to be given that role. So from even helping her during the pregnancy, from going to the hospital together with the wife for antenatal and all that, then having open conversations. There's another thing I share with women. I don't know if this happened. Well, I have found that it happens to a lot of women, but it happened to me. Getting married and expecting that your husband will just automatically know what you need and know what's on your mind. I remember struck the first few years of my marriage thinking that if I had to tell him what to do, then it will not be, it won't be spontaneous. It won't be, my sisters, please. That's the first myth we must bust. Say what you want, say what you need. The people around you, you have the responsibility, and that's why we're saying when you arm yourself with the right information, you will, even whether they are nannies, whether they are aunties, your uncles, you will be able to better articulate. See, Amaka says happened to her too. Okay, please,
She
can you
can
tell me
relate.
what happened? I want to know. Is it this one of Oga shift? you know, but let's be able to, or okay, maybe it's the one of not thinking that he would know what you want. But the
Exactly.
truth,
I think that's where she's coming from.
yeah,
Mm.
men don't. I mean, men, and to be honest, in your workplace, and you have to articulate your needs. And so, open conversation from the period of pregnancy. You need to say, okay, what do I expect of you? For some of us, we might, and these needs may also change. So we also have to put that caveat. By the time baby comes, we might not be as strong in the areas as we think we will be. So that open conversation and the communication and keeping it going, it's very important. So the first thing saying, okay, a woman might feel like, okay, you know what, I think I've got the baby. There was a lady who because we've done my Omugwo story thing, and I've interviewed a couple of women. We'll be sharing that soon on our YouTube channels and our social media handles. She's from India, and she said for her, really, she wanted people to help her take care with everything else so she can have time to bond with her baby. That's who she was. For some others, people or some others want someone to help them hold the baby like from time to time and stuff like that. So what do you expect? What do you want your husband to be doing, when baby comes, for example? Is it the laundry? Is it the food? Is it the cleaning? Is it the help with the older children? Is it the help with the new one? Is it help with you? That's another thing. So sometimes because there was another lady sharing a story who said she felt like when people came for Mugo, they were just all about the child and not about her. Now that's not how it's supposed to be, but apparently that was her own experience. And so that one could have articulated to her husband that, you know what, I want you to focus on me. So I want my massages to come from you. I want the back rubs. I want you to ask me what I want. I want you to check on me and know whether I'm doing well. So but communication is such a big deal in this area, to make your needs known, and then to also keep it open so that even when baby has come and the needs might be changing, or some days you feel like this and some days you don't feel like this, you are also able to openly articulate. And it's also to encourage the dads to also go ahead and equip themselves just as mothers would. You buy the course. Dad, if you are a man, a friend who's expecting a baby, buy the course for him or other materials, right? Where a father knows, because there we also deal with even his own mental health, because you can't give what you don't have. You can't pour out of an empty cup. So we're teaching the dad strategies to also fill their own cup so that they're not drained when
At the end.
you work,
Mm.
yeah, so that they are able to, by the time the wife is waking up or baby's waking, you're ready to be able to be that father, teaching them and encouraging them to carry their baby, wear their baby, which is good for them, good for bonding and all those things, and beginning that relationship, which is grows on to be very priceless when
I
it's done
I love
properly.
it. I love it. I love it that the men are, because they are such an integral part of that parenting village. And like you said, for us, the moms, oh, we're maternal and all, we're the ones that birth the babies. But it's a process that involves everybody, especially the man. Come on, come on now.
Mm,
He's like meant to be a partner in the process, and then everybody else is part of it, all the other relatives and all. But sometimes we relegate him to the background. And I remember I was speaking to a few of my colleagues. Man, I like to do freedom fighter at times. So there's this paternity leave thing. I was like, we need to enforce
yeah,
paternity leave. You people are
need
not,
to talk
paternity leave,
about
paternity leave. I asked a couple of them, I said, okay, how do you feel about paternity leave now that in Nigeria it's supposed to be at least 2 weeks
that.
paternity leave? How do you feel about it? Are you excited? Should it be enforced everywhere? And one of them said, I beg, just give me the money. I don't want any paternity leave, because at the end of the day, they won't even allow me to even hang out. They will not, as in, you just see women everywhere. You enter the house, aunties, everybody,
Mm,
grandma, everybody.
see,
They'll just be sending me on errands. Go and buy this, go and buy that.
yeah,
You don't allow
yeah.
me to come near the baby. In some cultures, you actually have to go back home to your parents' house
Oh
when you have a
yes,
baby for
oh
them to
yes,
actually, so the man
exactly.
is left out of that whole process. I remember there was this other family I know, it was fight because they told she told her mother. I was like, wow, you did not. She told her mother, I said, please, we want to bond with our first child. Can you please excuse us? Can you please leave the house for us? Just
That
come
goes
and
to
visit
go
us.
house, house for
Like, come
house.
and visit us. And they didn't allow her to hear. The whole family was like, what?
I can
You sent
imagine.
mommy away. But she knew
What?
what she wanted. And she was like, Mom,
Yeah,
I really love you. I appreciate everything you're doing. You
yeah.
were there in hospital. But now I
This is what
want
we want.
we want to
Exactly.
bond,
Yeah.
bond. We want to just bond, just allow. And the truth is that even with your mom around, if they align the couple do what they need to do, the
Mm.
bonding will still take place. Why would you cannot tell the man to leave his room as in come on
Mm.
now,
In
really?
fact, yeah, really, and this is really real. Like it's so close to me, like it's happened to someone in my family. And you see, it's really interesting because some cultures actually take it further. For example, we are exploring again, the Mugu Academy is not supposed to be a Nigerian thing. It's from Nigeria to the world, especially to Africa.
Yes, I love it.
To gather
Yes,
facts
yes.
and myths from Malawi, for example, and then different parts like that to talk about. One of the biggest ones here is this, it's part of the culture in some parts of Malawi, is the total ostracization, we may say, of the man. In fact, the belief, and we are digging more and more to it. So yesterday I had a meeting and found out why it is so, deeply entrenched. The belief is that if the father of the child touches the child first before the mother's elder brother, the uncle, who for some reason is supposed to be kind of like the head of the family, and I think they do a ritual 7 days after the baby is born and all of that, where they pass the baby over fire and do different things. So then the uncle takes and hands over. But basically, they say if the father touches the child before that time, the child is going to die. That's the
Oh
belief.
wow.
So tell me,
Oh
so
wow.
you can imagine fighting with something like that. It's really going to be an uphill
That's a
task.
strong, that's a
Fortunately,
strong, deeply rooted
strong.
belief. Wow.
It is deeply rooted. It's deeply rooted, and you think about yourself. If you don't know better in a rural community, a young mom, you're like, am I going to, because of love or whatever of my husband, what excuse are we going to give to in a sense sacrifice our babies' lives? And unfortunately, because of course in the rural areas in some parts of our African countries, the neonatal mortality is still very high and all of that. So you do have babies dying, right? You remember how you do have babies dying. Remember how babies used to die of sickle cell anemia in Nigeria, and they will call them abiku and say their spirits and all of that, because you keep having a child die at this time and all of that because of the genetic
Mm-hmm.
condition, right?
Yep.
And so stuff like that. So again, babies are dying, and they're like, yes, the father must have touched the baby. We said it, and stuff like that. So unfortunately,
Wow.
it makes it hard, and that's why
Those
we
things
need
make it
to help
hard.
ourselves
Mm-hmm.
with the right information, and also help. Again, remember, it takes a village, and we are all part of this village in whatever way you can do it. You could just meet a pregnant woman at the shop or something, just pitch in your own. Someone has a baby around you, go and see, and then be of help, right? Be of help, because when, like you said, this help and the support is done properly, it's actually supposed to give the father and mother of the baby more time to bond. That's the truth. So someone else should be going on those errands, if they can, so that the father can be there. That's the whole idea, to be with his wife and to be able to give attention to the baby, and both of them can bond with the baby and then learn. Because just like you pointed out from your story, unfortunately, one of the things that are not done well is that when we have these mummies, aunties, mother-in-laws come, they do the work and they go, but they are also supposed to be transferring knowledge. They are supposed to be teaching. They are supposed to be teaching their children and the children's spouses.
And many
So
times they're not teaching. Yes,
yeah,
that's the
many times
truth.
they are not teaching because they like it.
Many
It's
times
their
they're not teaching.
preserve, right? They want to be the
This is my
ones to,
work. This
yeah,
is my
yeah,
job. Yeah.
I understand that. So that's another thing we need to
Yeah,
encourage. Say,
I agree, and that was something, and and this information this knowledge is important for everybody, because I remember, for instance, it could just be a neighbor that's had a baby, and you
yeah,
making like nice yam pepper soup with all the
food. Oh
nice
my
herbs
God,
and all that. Those
I'm
are
hungry.
things that even if you're not having children, you can do for other people. And you can feel that, look, I'm helping this person. I'm part of their village. And
Yeah.
I'm assisting in that way. And I like that the
Mm,
part that you said is from Nigeria to the world, because we can all do with this help. I gave the example earlier of things we see, especially in the developed world, someone struggling with postpartum depression, she's all alone, and she
Mhm.
does something really, really
Mhm.
terrible and bad,
Yeah.
because of her state of mind at that time, and because she doesn't have anybody around her. So this is something
Mm.
that even if you don't have a baby or you're not planning to have a baby at that time, that information you can use it to help somebody. I'm going to give another story of something I saw some years ago. I remember I went somewhere because when I told the story of inverted nipples. So I even though I had
Mm.
helped, I had tried to work it, I still had a bit of problem. Um, breast for the breast. I still needed
Yeah,
a
that,
lactation
yeah, of
consultant
course.
to help me. I remember my sister she's here. She was there. At the point she was like, "I beg, give this pikin bottle." I don't. As the what's going on here? But in the end,
Yes.
the consultant came and she was able to help us. And also, I became fascinated with being a lactation consultant. So I did that
Lactation.
for a
Yeah.
few years. I actually was going
Mm.
to the hospital and talking to people about how to latch
Breastfeed.
on properly, how to help your
Breastfeed.
baby. And I learned a lot about latching on. I learned a lot
Yeah.
about breastfeeding exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading all sorts of things. I had books. I wanted to even take certification to become a consultant. That's how serious I was about. And I am
Yeah.
still doing that informally because I still like to help
Yeah.
moms, I guess. And I might
Yeah.
went somewhere to see someone that had a baby. And if you see the way they were like three women. If you see the way they were attacking her breasts to bring out milk. Hey, I said, please, please, please. That's not how to do it. I said, please, nice.
No, it's
Excuse
not
me,
gonna work.
how you express milk from a breast?
Yeah.
My breast ache. I was not able
Mm-hmm.
to now because I had that knowledge of
Yeah.
how milk should be expressed properly. I was able to help express milk in that few minutes I
Mm.
went to see her. And I really felt really happy that I was able to save her from all the torture because the way they were tugging that breast there, oh Lord,
And before
it's
you
well.
know, there's mastitis, there's and got all
Yes.
sorts of things that could, yeah, from there and make it such a more painful process. Cracked nipples, sore nipples, all sorts.
Yeah, thank you, Amaka. Thank you so much for your encouraging words, and everyone that is here. Thank you for all the encouraging words. Are people logging in? Are you sharing this thing to people? Dr. Megor will soon go. This is free. We're talking about free consultation. We're talking about the parenting village. I love that term, the
Mhm.
parenting village. It takes a village to raise a child. That is such an African
Yeah,
saying, and
yeah.
it's so 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 true.
Oh,
Alicia is
so
saying how
true.
she suffered from this latching something. It's not a small something.
Yeah,
It was a friend that helped. So since your friend had that knowledge, and because she
that's
had the knowledge, she was able to help you. And that is why it's so important that a lot of people have the right knowledge on how to help us mothers. So everybody needs to get on board these courses. I was at as I loved what did you call that community in my
station.
love was
Was that
that
baby
was
center? Baby center, of
Baby
course.
center.
Mhm,
Oh
of
Lord,
course.
I was always on baby
Yeah,
center. I
yeah,
was always there all the time to get for specific for my child's age and for my age of lactation and all of that. I'm happy that that the community is going to be something like that because we need that
yeah,
stage specific advice. I
yeah.
remember I read what to expect when you're expecting back to back. I read it inside and out, and those are the kind of things that we need. Because a lot of people are not readers. A lot of people are not
Yeah,
going to don't have access to them, but they have access to the internet, and they
yeah,
can say, okay, I'm part of this community. I can
yeah.
log in and get this information that is right, that is vetted, that is
Mm,
moderated, because nobody's going to put anything there and be allowed to put wrong information on the community because
mm.
it's going to be moderated
Yeah,
properly. So you can
yeah.
trust that anything in the community that is going to be shared is going to be moderated. And then also with the courses, Dr. Megor already, she's a doctor, very intelligent, brilliant, amazing medical, um, doctor, and she knows her stuff. So she's gone ahead to, bring her own wealth of knowledge, not just as a physician and the mother of a midwife and the daughter of a midwife, but also as a mother of four children herself. She has learned a whole lot and she's bringing her wealth of experience to the Omugo Academy, along with all the other professionals who,
Mm,
including myself, including Dr. Chito, including Dr. Mimi. There's so many amazing people who she's bringing onto that platform, so we can
yeah,
get the right information. And
mm,
even if it's not for us, we can point other people and say, you know what, me, I'm
yeah,
not sure, but go. You can get here, click here,
yeah.
get this info, read this video because there's so much to learn. There's so many
Mm,
myths out there that are not really, really that some of them are, like you said, are downright dangerous. Some of them are harmless,
mm.
like you said,
Yeah,
put it on the
yeah.
hair, who will it hurt? But there's some of them that are actually quite dangerous,
Um,
and we should not allow our children or children of anyone we know partake in
Mm.
those things. So we need to really, really make sure that we are spreading the information, and getting the right stuff. Then things that are good are very good. Those help. Please tell us about that yam pepper soup. Why it's so good for women who have this. That's the that
Okay.
is part of
So
the do.
yeah.
Zizi.
So it's interesting because I'll tell you, of course, what we know from our end, and then I'll tell you my comment on that. So it contains many different spices, as we know, that have most of the time we know the native names. But the beautiful thing now is that we have more more modern entrepreneurs that just blend everything right now and put in a bottle for you, and they're like, okay, 1 teaspoon to 200 mils of water. Fantastic. That's kind of thing. So you can have it anywhere in the world, and the 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 belief with those herbs is that it helps to do a lot in the body, helping almost as to contract the uterus and to help expel all the clots and everything early on, helps in recovery and stuff like that. Now I want to make this my comment, which is a comment and is a challenge to all of us as Africans. And that's the reason why, for example, I took the challenge to start Omugo Academy, because I said to myself that we have these great traditions and great practices that we are not documenting, we're not researching properly, we are not documenting, and so we are not handing it over to the next generation in such a way that it can be preserved and even improved upon. Now, concerning herbs and local medicine, or we have different ways of calling it. The issue with us is that we still, in most parts of Africa, have not researched these things properly. I'm talking about our herbs and everything, because an herb is a drug. Okay, yes, it comes from, but it's a drug. Anything that has the capacity to change, yes, has medicinal, thank you, or to help or to harm, is a drug. And so when people tell me, oh, okay, agbo, for example, that's another thing. They give agbo to 2 month old babies and all that, which is really, really, really
Mm.
dangerous. Yeah. So they say for fever, it's bobonishe, kills everything. Give him, agbo. So, but the question is, how well have we researched it? Want to know, yes, it is good, right? Okay, let's even say it works for what you say it works for, but what is the dose? How many how many milligrams is contained in a teaspoon or whatever? What's the dose at which I should take it? How often should I take it in a day, and for how long? Now that's where the question lies. And when you get there, people is different. It's different. Somebody can carry the whole bottle and be drinking it. Somebody can just go pluck the leaves. And we need to do better. And this is a challenge because it really works, right? Many of these things
Yeah.
work. We have lots of stuff that are medicinal. We had grandparents that they'll tell you that, once you just come and say, oh, I'm feeling headache, they just go out, carry 2 leaves, rub it together. They're like, eat this and you feel
And it
better.
has
But
medicinal
we did not
properties.
document. Yes, but we did not document. That great grandfather is gone, and everybody after
Mm.
him, and there's a new generation. We did not document it. We did not write it. We did not research it. We did not improve upon it. So please, this is close to my heart. So I just decided to yeah, so those spices were good. Yeah, I actually think they were good. They are good. I actually think so. And some of them
They
have
are.
been individually, yes,
Yeah.
they
Some
are.
research has been
Just
done. I know for things like
yes,
Uda
on
and stuff. They have been some
yes,
efforts, but yeah.
yes, yeah, exactly. To them singly,
Yeah.
like on, because again, chemistry now.
Mm.
Alone, a compound acts in a certain way. You put it with other things, the reaction itself can either reduce certain properties, increase or catalyze certain properties, to make it a certain way. There's a whole lot, like it's a whole wealth of knowledge. It should be exciting to us to want to drill down on this and actually
Yes.
find it out
Yes.
and now
I think
start. Yeah,
I think one of the problems we have, and I keep because I'm an advocate for culture,
yeah,
because I like the Western world and everything is brought to. I love culture a lot,
me
and one of the
too.
issues is that because when you hear herbalist, what do you think? You think of a jazz man, right? Because
Yes,
a lot of people that are dealing with these herbs are not involved in other things as well. So we want to stay away from those things. But I just wish we had more people who would look into this herbs and things and all the properties that they possess and do the proper research. Because I'm seeing that you see if you now go to you go on Amazon, you see that they're
Mm.
selling of one or they've packaged it, they've researched it,
Yeah.
oh, and they sold in
Yes.
one funky way. And why now,
Exactly.
so we need to do the research on
Jute
all those
leaves.
beautiful things that we
Ewedu
have.
is jute leaves now.
Jute leaves,
Jute
yes, and
leaves,
they say
and
you
it's
always
not being
helps with
sold
this.
by us. Can you imagine? It's not being
It's
packaged or
crazy.
sold by us. It's
Yeah,
painful.
which is why I say our culture is beautiful. We have so many beautiful
Yeah.
things, and our
Yeah.
midwives are beautiful. But we need to now, so what are the others? I did not. It's not enough. The
Yeah.
traditional midwife now they are
Yes,
funkionized it.
yes, who
They
are
don't have
now being,
curriculum. Yeah, they have
yes,
curriculum. They have a syllabus that
certification.
they're learning. In countries
Exactly.
like Australia, I think it's either Australia or Canada. I think it's Australia. Midwives were so popular, and
Yeah.
it's because so they had to now start looking for ways to legalize and what's the word?
Bring it to become
Formalize the whole system.
mainstream. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so
yes,
they have to do a lot of that when we look at our native midwives,
absolutely.
giving them the right education,
And
making
so
sure
that,
things are done in a sterile manner and all of that. But at least it's
mm,
not in pill forms, at least you don't say, because these are all fantastic things. So
yeah,
we need to
yeah,
find out how we can use these things properly. I think that's part of the research that you need to also do as well, Megor, and be adding as
absolutely.
the academy is
Everything
growing.
that we are doing, yeah, is actually based off of, research, and it's ongoing and it's unfolding, and
Yes, yes. We
talking
need
to
to
more people and learning what goes on in the different cultures. For
the
example,
different
what Korea,
cultures.
what's happening now in modern day Korea is that they now have what they call postpartum care facilities, or postpartum
I
care
was going to say
hotels.
that.
Hotels,
I
it's
love it.
fantastic. So I
I love
love it.
it.
So because
Hey,
it's a way to take and modernize, so we don't lose the culture, right? So now, because even in Nigeria it's happening, we don't really have grandmas that have time to come and sit down in somebody's house for 6 months anymore. That's the truth. Or
yes,
3 months
yes.
between
Our grandmother's psychedelic. Who will come and
yeah,
stay with you for six
exactly.
months?
Right.
Ah,
And so, because of that, we need to change. That's why for us in Amugo Academy, we're like, okay, we have this gift of technology. Let's begin to leverage this first so that we can create this village digitally, online, that everywhere, anywhere in the world can be part of it. So that's one step. But there are different ways people can do this. And anybody hearing this could decide to say, okay, I want to do this. So the postpartum hotels, for example, and of course, there are different grades depending on what you can afford. You check out of the hospital, instead of going home, you check in there for a few weeks. There, you have the midwives there, because I think in some other parts of the country, they have midwives going to houses. But then when the needs became too much, it's better to actually bring these guys to a particular facility so that they
yeah,
can see
stay
multiple
with them.
people. And it's working very well for them. People are
I love
very
it. I
food,
love it. I saw it, and I
it's
was like,
amazing.
I was blown away, and I was like, we're going to the need is begins to we need that even in Nigeria today, like you
Yeah,
said. I know some
yeah,
moms, even of nowadays you have women who are 60s, 70s, they're in their prime, they're still doing
exactly.
boardroom stuff and wearing high heels up and down. You see, they come
Mhm.
and stay your house to be doing a mugo. They ain't got time, they'll come and see baby and they will go. But you still need that support. And
Yes.
as much as they, and those are things that we need to, so as I'm excited to see how the academy is going to grow and infuse more and more aspects, because these are things that we're going to really need in our community. I'm interested in seeing how so our policymakers take advantage of resources like this to make sure that women all over the world, all over the country, let's start with our own, all over the country here and the
Yeah.
globe and Africa and everywhere, have the resources that they need to help their children thrive. Because the truth is that we said this again and again, it takes a village. And that is
Mm,
why, we even need our legislators, we need our policymakers, we need everybody to say, "Okay, you know what, this kind of resources, these things that are available, how can we help those women who need this help, who don't have
mm,
anybody with them?" Because we want a healthy and thriving society. We want women
mm,
to be able to have what they need to be able to function. That's why South Korea has that, because they also look, a lot of women are not happy, they have no one to
mhm.
help them. They don't have this. So they have I know they have the hotels that you mentioned. They also have the nannies that are subsidized, so they can come and stay with you
Yes.
for
You
like a
can
month or
go.
so,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
help you with the baby, they cook for you, they do whatever, and and you're able to rest and just
Mm,
get back to yourself, because having a baby is a very, very, very intense process to
mm.
bring the life out of you and just to be okay. And there's something you said, you know, going back, it was saying, how I love women. We're like, oh, yeah. Amaka, policies are so important. That's why I love policy. They are so important. We know people say, what's your business? It has to do with the home. I said, yes, it has to do with the home, but every responsible society needs to make policies that help their citizenry thrive and be happy
Mm.
and live a good life. So I will just say how. I think I lost my train of thought. So that's what happened. You took it. Anyway, I will just say how this the Omugwo thing, for instance, as in just having that help when you need it is so key in any society that wants to progress and grow. And not saying that okay, these things are archaic, we don't need them. No, we need them. The information is needed, education is needed, learning properly is needed, having the right information is needed. Do not throw away the baby with the bathwater. A lot of these things that can be brought you that can be curated the way you have curated them painstakingly and put them in one place to say, oh, this is what we need. And that's available. I'm sure we'll start to have, even on that platform, courses for nannies. Because the truth is that in our society, it's not only us. We say it takes a village. You have your nanny. What kind of information does your nanny have to help
Absolutely.
you? So when you're not
Yeah.
there, what can she do to help
Mm.
your child? What kind of information
Mm.
the siblings need to have to help
Mm.
their younger ones as they're raising these children? What kind of information do we need as a society, as a community? Do offices need when they're trying to build creches to make sure that they have what they need to help their employees who have children who have childbearing age? Chidera is asking, what are we talking about? I'm a bit lost. Please don't be lost. Let me find you. I'm talking about how it takes a village to raise a child. And Dr. Megor is our guest. She's been with us for like an hour. So we need to go very soon. And we've been talking about how it's so important to have the right resources, how our traditional healthcare, our traditional postpartum practices are very good. Some of them are not so good, but we want to take the good ones and use them. And that is why she has put together the Omogo Academy. And before she goes, I want her to just say 5 myths, five of the myths that we have around that surround, from they could be Nigerian and from wherever. What are the five myths that are really, really, you said a few. Five
Yeah.
five pregnancy or postpartum myths. Please share a
Yeah.
few.
Okay. So especially for the person who's just coming, I'll just recap some of them, starting with the one in Malawi that it's believed that if the father touches the child before that 7 day ritual and before the uncle, the maternal uncle, the child will die. We have, okay, of course, myths of eating for two, postpartum, where they're like, oh no, you have two, or if you have twins, you eat for three. If you have triplets, you eat for four. And that's the only way you can make enough breast milk to be able to feed the kids, right? And what usually happens is that we end up being overweight and then struggling with our weight and all of that later. Of course, though, there's a healthy way to handle postpartum weight loss. That's another thing that we already deal with in the courses and the platform. Another thing would be I've talked about, okay, putting a boniki balm or this thing on
On the
the anterior
fontanelle.
posterior of the baby. I've talked about putting saliva on the navel, talked about putting other types of concussion on the navel, putting thread on the hair. Of course, the other myths too of, I think, here, somebody, again, I think it was that our International Women's Day brunch, someone mentioned it, that maybe those days it was a form of contraception where the woman would go and stay with her parents and the man had to stay in his own house, for 6 weeks plus.
Very likely.
They went back. I was like, okay, that's, so it's
Very
interesting. So
likely.
that probably
Mm.
made sense, but not that someone's going to die or anything like that, which would be normally what was shared. There are lots of it. There's also putting the toothpaste on the umbilicus. Yeah, that one again was a myth I received during one of my ECD for moms classes, and it came from a very educated woman. Her mother-in-law asked her to do it, and they ended up in the
How about stuff
ER.
like they'll say, oh, if a pregnant woman eats this, or if a newborn
Like snail. They say if you
uh
are eating snail when you are pregnant, your baby will drool. Hey, your baby drools because of teething and because of the season. I mean, most of us that have had babies now, and you know that they go through that season and they come out of
or
it,
if your
right?
baby brings I know the one about teeth. If the teeth comes from down first or from up, I
First,
don't know which one. There was some myth about around that is not good or so. I can't even. It's all sorts of stuff. It's
they're
all stuff.
all stuff.
Oh, in
Also,
fact, look at one using palm wine. for breast milk
Milk
production.
production of birth, exactly.
That's
So
in
the thing
that's
is, yeah, because it's alcohol, and know that you know that breast milk, right, is it secretes whatever you are eating, especially something like alcohol is secreted in breast milk. So that would be the issue there. In fact, you're saying alcohol. I've seen some other people that give like straight. You're saying palm wine, which could be mild. So you know, once you tap palm wine today, when it's fresh, the alcohol content is quite low, then it gets higher by fermentation, right?
mm,
So I would say the truth is, when you take water, anything, as long as you're taking stuff that has water, you are oh, thank you, Zizi, you're eating good food. And then the most important thing actually for breastfeeding properly is the state of your mind.
mm.
Start, we can go. Amaka here, I think, is a breastfeeding guru. So it would be nice to, we'll be talking one of these days for her to share more about her experience. But it's the state of your mind. It starts from there. That's
It
where
starts
people
from
really
there.
struggle to
They start.
use milk or not.
So are you
But
saying no to
before,
palm wine or yes to palm wine? Which one? What are you saying,
I'm
though?
saying no, because most times it comes in its fermented state and it's alcohol, of course. And I'm saying no to alcohol when you're breastfeeding at that, at that level. However, because I understand, I will say no. So my answer is no. It's just that because I understand the back end of palm wine a bit more, I know that fresh palm wine tapped today might be much less in alcohol content, and if you probably take one glass, it's probably okay. Do you understand? So a lot of these things are moderation as well. For
Mm.
example, the kind of massages that we have to give to babies. You remember where they press their body as if they've gone to, I don't even know what we're trying to achieve. So we have had cases of babies coming to meet us in the ERY because grandma has pulled the shoulder joint out of the socket. Yes, this is
You
real
don't
life.
say.
Yes.
Mm.
However, a massage is bad. No. So what do we need there? Moderation.
Gentle
Okay.
massages.
Some of those
Yes.
things is moderation. Some no, no. Some it's okay. You can let it pass. So, but as you
Okay.
equip yourself with the knowledge, then you would know the
You
best. But
learn
Chioma,
more.
before we just go, I think we need to touch on this strong woman complex and strong
Okay.
21st
Five.
century.
I'm gonna give
In
you. I'm gonna give you 1 minute to talk about the whole strong because the truth is, five. Funny
okay.
enough, this whole
Yeah.
strong woman thing. I spoke about it in church the other day, and we're just saying how Proverbs 31 woman. We're always quoting her. The woman had servants. The woman used to sleep. The woman. I
Yeah.
don't understand what people are doing, but please go ahead. Go go go.
Yeah, I think it was Dr. Zobo online. She carried her, say, she said, please, she's tearing her strong woman certificates. That if she catches anybody, call her strong black woman again, African woman, she would, because I'll tell you my own experience with my fourth child when I experienced, when I explained that, I was alone in a new country, didn't have the normal support systems and everything. When I started to actually struggle, guess what? I was telling myself, I was
You're
beating myself
strong.
up internally. That come on, Megor, what's wrong with you? Is it not you? Is it not you again? Like you've done this 3 times. What's the meaning of this? This is not. There's no time for this. You have 3 kids
It's a
waiting
big
for you.
deal.
Everybody's depending on you. Your husband, you just there are things to be done. Come on, move. And that made it even worse. Because you see, I had now taken an internalized society's so-called expectation of me. So we're in a time where it's even harder because I think that the 21st century woman who's well educated, she's working and she's doing all of that, is expected to be able to do it all and know it all and not really. And sometimes that it puts pressure on you. And in the Western world, for example, our Western counterparts don't have the kind of help that we have. So you find yourself in a community, maybe you're relocated to UK and all that, you see another woman, she has a baby, it's just her husband and her, and they're doing everything, and you're like, come on. What I really believe that when the Bible says in the beginning it was not so, that we were not supposed to do this alone, we were not supposed to go on this journey alone. I really believe that, and if you see how families and communities are structured, we're supposed to go on this journey together. So please, whether you are the woman that has the strong woman complex, please carry your certificate and kindly tear it today. Be able to articulate what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and be able to ask for help when you need it. Take self-care seriously. Learn to recharge as a lifestyle, not when you're almost crashing. And learn to also let other people know around you that you are human. that you are
Let
human and you're
other people know around you that you're human. Like I always tell women, if you don't take care of yourself, stop waiting for
mm,
people to take care of you. If you don't articulate your needs, nobody's going to be able to read your mind and say what you need. You have to say what you need. Tell what you need. I always tell people, a lot of time when I go to visit women, I get gifts for the, that have given birth. I also get gifts for the woman because she has given
mm,
birth. I always focus on the
exactly,
baby. The woman will born the pikin,
exactly.
so she deserves a gift or two. So,
Yeah,
thank you, Dr. Michael. We had a fantastic time here. And if you want to learn more about Omugo Academy, you can go to www.omugwo. Omugwo is spelled OMUGWO Academy.com. That's omugwoacademy.com. And you can follow her also. She's on everywhere. She's everywhere. Dr. Michael is on Instagram. She's on LinkedIn. She's on everywhere. Any social, just look for her there. You look for Dr. Michael. Look for Dr. Megor. I said Dr. Megor. Dr. Megor, and look for Omugwo Academy and find out what they do and how you can connect with them. And also for you women, this is a month for women. We're celebrating women all
yeah,
month long. Yes, you
yeah.
are strong, but please ask for help when you need the help. There's a reason why it takes a village. We say that like hundred, like
Mm,
over and over. We can't say it enough. Ask for help. It could be a neighbor who you see that she has experience. Say, look, call her and say, Auntie, please, I'm struggling with this. It could just be someone. I remember, for instance, with school runs, I want this lovely neighbor who has been so helpful. I drop off my son and she picks him up. And it's a pleasure for her. Today I said, you know what, I'm picking up the kids. It's the last day of school, and she was happy to sit down and chill at home while I did that. Enjoy the village you have. Take advantage of the community you have. Ask the
mm,
right questions. Seek for help. Do not say I must do it all by myself. That is not how God designed us. He did not put us in the world to be just on our own. Please ask for support. There's this butterfly project I have. Claire is here. Claire is one of our mentees, and we're going to have, Dr. Megor, you're going to come and talk to the women in the next cohort because we have so much to teach our women about how
yeah.
we can help our children, not just in the early stages of when they are born, but even after that, how we can take advantage of the networks we have. There's a reason why you are in a community. There's a reason why
Mm-hmm.
you have people around you. Please take advantage of them. And most of all, if you have a husband, please, he's not there for
Decoration. It's not an it's not an ATM.
yeah, it's not an ATM. It's not someone said it's not a sponsor. You don't have
It's
sponsor.
a
You just come and
sponsor.
pay. He has a role to play. Please
Yeah.
allow him to play his role. A lot of people, at times are the ones that make these men not do anything because you can see how you're carrying the baby. See the baby's head. Nothing will happen to that baby's head. Don't worry. The more he carries the baby, the more he learns, the more confident he gets to be around that newborn. I've heard someone say, I don't carry new baby. I'm like, how? Why? Because he was afraid of carrying them. But if you make them feel that they can do it, they will, and they take pride in those roles that you allow them to play. So please let us do ourselves a favor by also helping these men do what they need to do. Let us do ourselves a favor by also seeking help where we need that help. Thank you so much, Amaka. Thank you for joining. I wish we had asked you to join the conversation after actually because you've been here throughout.
Yeah.
You can a thing or two about breastfeeding, or maybe next time you will
Yeah.
join us so we can have a three-way convo or even more. So thank you for being with us. Thank you
Yeah.
for being with us throughout. Dr. Megor,
Thank you.
I'm so tired today.
Well
I'm so
done,
tired.
superwoman. You too.
Which I don't want the super tomorrow.
You
The super,
don't
I'm going to go and
want the
eat
certificate.
and lie down. I need to
Yeah.
sleep. So it's been great
Yeah.
talking to you. Thank you for all the work you're doing with Omogo Academy. And
You
thank
too.
you. We'll have another conversation definitely about what we can do and how we can help women with this amazing resource that you have developed.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right.
And
Thank
thank you
you.
to everyone who has joined in, who has been part of this conversation. It's been great having you here. Like I said, this video is going to be here on my YouTube channel. You can go ahead and subscribe if you're not subscribed. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. And then you can also share it to people so they can get what we discussed today. Have a good night and God bless you. And make sure you have a restful weekend. I'm going to sleep now and sleep in tomorrow morning. Good night.